Fire needs 3 vital elements in order to burn. It needs oxygen, fuel, and heat. If any one of those 3 elements are removed, the fire goes out. I was thinking about fire and its close resemblance to feminism, or more specifically, feminist governance. It seems to me that feminism also needs 3 elements in order to exist. It needs women, it needs the state, and it needs men. Take away any one of those support structures, and feminism, at least in terms of governance, goes away. I think this is a valid paradigm for looking at strategies to declaw feminism. After all, something needs to neutralize one of these elements. Something needs to take down feminism, or it all goes down in flames.
So why am I responding to this, eh?
With feminism, as we know to our continued cost, it's inconceivable that women would remove their rabid support for it, and equally impossible to control the state and its use of these women. But is it perhaps less impossible to remove the support of men? Could men break feminism? I don't know, but what inspires me in the business of the men's movement is people going on different tangents and pursuing different ideas. Nobody knows what's best, but they move forward regardless. That's why I'll rarely throw anyone in this business under a bus. Who am I to know the best way forward? Who is anyone? Feminism is enormously alluring to women. Women are fantastically drunk on it, and there's no chance whatsoever of any significant change in women's attitude.
I'm going to stop you there, man-woman myth. Who says we can't change women's minds? I get what you're saying. It isn't in women's immediate interests to change the system like it is in men's immediate interests. As Upton Sinclair once said, it is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it. And indeed, the same goes for women. Indeed, a lot of men prove more difficult to deconvert than a lot of women. But I would point out that it's only difficult. It's not impossible. So ever since I encountered this problem, I've been doing a lot of thinking about possible ways to solve this equation, so to speak. How on earth do you get women to change their minds? How's that for an age-old question? But in my travels, I found someone else who's done quite a lot of thinking and quite a lot of doing. And though I like to think that I've helped her thought process a fraction as much as she's helped mine, rest assured she can be relied on to speak for herself and to nail it. But that's all the more reason for me to be here, to put her canvas in a fancy frame. In the interests of maintaining the poetry of it all, I don't think I even need to tell you her name. Take it away, Blue.
This is coming from a sort of a place of uncertainty, but there needs to be a movement of women who take responsibility and expect the women around them to take responsibility too. I talked about the absence of compassion for men in society, but where is this compassion supposed to come from? If it comes from men to other men, it's still an expectation placed on men. It really needs to come from women. It really needs to come from women stepping into that place of assuming responsibility and strength and accountability. And that's where the compassion will come from. And it's not just a situation where men can't do this for themselves, which I actually agree. I don't think men can do this for themselves. It's also a situation where men shouldn't have to do this for themselves. This isn't something men should have to do. And for me, and to move it back into my relationship with the term honey badger, I still think that if you're a female men's rights activist, you don't need a special term. You're just a men's rights activist who happens to be female. And up until very recently, I had to make some sort of peace with the fact that I was being called a honey badger. And for me, I made peace with it because I saw it in terms of being part of a sports team or a group. And I said, well, if we're working towards a goal, and this is the label because we're working towards a specific goal, I guess I can handle it. You know, we're like a sports team or a band. That's fine. But in terms of just being a men's rights activist, I don't want a special term. I'm not a honey badger, not at all. And the other concept that I realized is that in many ways you can't be a honey badger. It's just like being a man. That the concept of man is something that's almost aspirational. You can never truly achieve being a man. Men are always in the process of achieving it, because it's just something you can never, it's not something you are, it's something you do. And I think honey badger is that. It's not something you are, it's something you do. And you can never really achieve it. You're always in the process of trying to be that thing, but you never are. And I think that's something that's missing for women, is that kind of aspirational goal that they can never achieve. I will never be a honey badger. I am not a honey badger, because a honey badger is an aspiration. It's something that you are always striving for. And I think that brings out sort of a humbleness and a sense of constant focusing on your actions as choices, as who you are, as opposed to labels or the fact you're female or whatever. So yeah, that would be my sort of rant about where the term honey badger came from, and my relationship to it. And I'm going to throw this open to the rest of the girls, or the women.
There's not a great deal I can add to that as a man, but I will clear one thing up. Some of you may be uncomfortable with the notion men can't do this for themselves. And I'm sorry to say this, but suck it up. She's right, we can't. Not on the scale on which we need it to happen. So dispense with the power fantasy, please. Tear down the wall. You are a vulnerable creature. Dry your eyes, mate. Everybody hurts. Deal with it. If you continue to tell yourself men can do this on their own, you're continuing this charade of traditionalism where men do all the doing. It was also Man, Woman, Myth who said that men are reduced from human beings to mere human doings. But maybe we're supposed to be human doings. Maybe all society does is reduce us from human doings to mere human beings, starting with the women. And ladies, if you really care, if you really want to get people out of these boxes, out of these traditional gender roles, then here's the ultimate test. Men need you. More than at any point in history. Look what's happened. Your fairy queen, Good Witch of the North, has locked us in the tower, and she won't let us out. So don your shining armour, get on your magnificent white horse, and save the human race. We can't do it anymore. Men have spent all of civilized history trying to be more than men by doing things. That is our curse and that is our blessing, and believe it or not, for some of us, it's worth it. So ladies, if you want the blessings that come with the curse, then it's finally time for you to step up to the plate and be more than women by doing things. So be a white knight, be a honey badger, be a steak and kidney pie. It does not matter one jot what you are, because you are invisible until you actually do something. So when someone asks you, what are you? Tell them, I am a person, and this is what I do. Go on, ask me. Why, I'm a person. I keep evil and I pander on. Insert your own poetic adjective and spirit animal here. Goodbye and far cry.